still read physical books these days? I know I do. And for a bookmark, I've used everything from a napkin to a scrap piece of paper. The other day at Hobby Lobby, I ran across these Sublimation blank bookmarks, and I thought it'd be a perfect chance to make something just a little more special. I put together a couple of custom designs using graphics from Creative Fabrica and some text ideas from ChatGPT. Today, I'm going to walk you through the entire sublimation process step by step. Let's find out together how well these come out. Hey everyone, it's Lean from ColoradoLean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. Let's jump right into this project. This is going to be a lot of fun. First thing I want to do is take off my tassel and set that off to the side. Now these bookmarks are 2 inches wide by 6 inches long, so that is a really good size. Now because they are metal, they are a little thick, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. Looking here on the back of the packaging, it says to remove the protective film before sublimating. It's always important to know if your metal projects have some kind of a plastic coating on them or not. I want to be really careful with my pokey tool because I don't want to scratch the sublimation surface. And I am going to be printing a double-sided design, so I will take the plastic off of both sides. And of course, with all sublimation projects, the first thing you have to do is clean your blank. Now, I shouldn't have to clean it because I just took a protective coating off, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I am just using 91% isopropyl alcohol. I picked this up from my local Walmart. I'm going to clean both sides, but before I sublimate the second side, I will clean that again. While this is drying, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our images. As I said in the introduction, I found the graphics on Creative Fabrica and the text, not so much on this one, but on the other image that I have. I got that from an idea that I put into ChatGPT, just asking for any suggestions on what I could put on a bookmark. I created these designs in Canva. And if you'll recall, our bookmarks are 2 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And I created my images to be approximately 2 1/8 inches wide by about 6 1/8 inches tall. So that's going to be a tight fit. The first thing I want to do is cut this in half. I will set one of these aside for now. And I'm going to bring in my heat-resistant tape. And again, I picked this up from Amazon, and there will be a link for everything you need down in the description. All right, I'm going to line this up with the hole at the top. And if this gets to be a little bit too fussy, then I'll be right back with you. Okay, this particular bookmark isn't so difficult. This other image is pretty light, so that one might be a little bit harder to do. But we want to make sure we have about the same amount of space all the way around. I think you can see that. And then I'm going to take my heat-resistant tape and tape this down. All right, this first one is ready to go. And I'm going to get the second one ready with the second design. And when we come back, I'll have everything turned around and we will be over at the HTVRont Auto Heat Press. We are hanging out with the HTVRont Auto Heat Press. And for the directions, it says that we need to sublimate this at a temperature of 356 degrees for 50 seconds with medium pressure. Now, with this particular HTVRont, I cannot change my pressure settings, but I never have a problem with that. So let's go ahead and set our temperature. So we'll push the temperature button and we need to increase this. I cannot set this for 356 degrees, so we'll just go with 355. And then for the time, we need to increase this to 50 seconds. So while the HTVRont Auto Heat Press is warming up, let's talk a little bit about our sandwich. I am starting off with a piece of 12 by 12 white Recollections cardstock. I like to have this extra bit of protection down. I'm going to place a piece of white uncoated butcher paper on top of that. Now, this is different than the butcher paper that I typically purchase. It feels like it's a lighter weight. It's definitely thinner, but I think it's still going to be okay. Next, we have our bookmark and our design. I don't believe I mentioned this before, but I printed this on sublimation paper with my Epson SureColor F170 sublimation printer. And I'm going to put the bookmark down and the paper on top. And then I will cover it with another piece of butcher paper. Now, I like to have my butcher paper hanging off the side so that when the plate is ready to come up, I can hold it in place so that nothing shifts around, and it lessens the chance of ghosting. And speaking of that, I do want to make sure that I push this A button so that when I push my plate in, the top platen will automatically lower. Now that we're up to 355 degrees, let's go ahead and push our plate in and start sublimating. All right, I can see the image coming through, so that's always a good sign. Okay, well, you know what? That did not turn out like I thought it would. Ooh, that is hot though. Okay, there is our finished bookmark. And here is what's left of the design. So that is not enough. I think that's more of a heat issue than a time. 1 extra second for 1 degree, I don't think would do a whole lot. So I think what I want to do for the next one is I want to raise this up to 360 degrees. So we'll pop that up to 360. And I think I want to increase the time to 55 seconds. So we'll give that a try. All right, we are up to 360 degrees. So let's go ahead and press this for 55 seconds and see how it comes out. All right, here is the second bookmark. Yep, that ring light out of there. And if you look around the tape that I put on there, a little bit more of the ink did come off, but not enough. So I am heading in the right direction, but I'm not there yet. You know what? Let's go for broke here. Let's take this up to 370 degrees. And I'm also going to change the time to 60 seconds. What the hey? So I'm going to go ahead and get the backs of these bookmarks all set up, and we'll be right back. So let's see, this one was at 370 degrees for 60 seconds. And as you can see, a little bit more ink was taken off. I'm going to save these papers and we'll have side-by-side comparisons at the end. I think for this one, I'm going to put the original pad back in from my heat press. And I know the card said medium pressure, but I just want to see what happens if we have a little bit more pressure. So I have my butcher paper, I have my design with the sublimation paper on top, and then another piece of butcher paper. And again, this is going to be 370 degrees for 60 seconds, but with extra pressure. I think we may have found the magic formula. So again, that was at 370 degrees for 60 seconds with the extra pad. And that's how much more ink was taken off. And again, we'll do a comparison at the end. So I think what I want to do before we completely wrap up this video, I think I want to print a couple more images, press a few more bookmarks, and then we'll come back at the very end and see how they all turned out. So I will be back with you in a little bit. I wanted to wrap up by showing you exactly how each test turned out, because the suggested settings on the packaging, well, that didn't work for me this time. For test number 1, I used 355 degrees for 50 seconds, which is the closest I could get to the recommended 356 degrees. There was barely any ink transferred, as you can see here on the paper. I do have another print, and you can see just how much of the original ink there is and how little got left behind. For my second test, I increased it to 360 degrees for 55 seconds. It was a little bit better, but still not great. For test number 3, I bumped this up to 370 degrees for 60 seconds. And while a lot more ink did transfer, it still just isn't quite enough. For test number 4, I kept it at 370 degrees for 60 seconds. However, I added the original pressing pad that came with my HTVRont Auto Heat Press. It did make a difference, but it just, still not quite perfect for me. Off camera, I did another test. This was 375 degrees for 60 seconds with the additional pressure. And for me, this is the sweet spot. You can really see a difference how much ink transferred off the paper and how vibrant the colors turned out. And just for fun, here is my classic craft fail of the day. I was texting my husband, I got distracted, and I ended up taping the sublimation design to the front of the bookmark again. So I double pressed the same image onto the same side. Whoops. So now it's bold, beautiful, and actually only slightly off down here at the bottom. And the back, it's still blank. Lesson learned, multitasking and sublimation do not go together. All in all, I am really happy with the final results, but I do want to double check the actual temperature of my heat plate with a thermal thermometer just to make sure it's reading accurately. So if you're getting inconsistent results, that might be something to look into as well. If you've tried sublimating metal bookmarks or have any temperature tips, I would love to hear them down in the comments. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more crafty experiments, wins, and fails. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the craft room soon. Bye.